So the topic of today's panel discussion is re-examining the Millennium Development Goals for 2015, which as part of the education part of the Millennium Development Goals, they wanted 100% literacy by 2015. We're looking at what we need to do to fix it, to get 100% literacy, what went wrong, and what actually literacy is. How do we define literacy? So, my name is John Lipkin. I'm representing Humanitarian Interaction on campus. I'm from Children Beyond Our Borders. Before we start, I wanted to thank Joy Saha. He helped me so much through this. And she's not here, but the president of HIC, Laura Morris, and also the Peace Corps and Amy, she was great as well. So without further ado, I guess we'll get started with introducing the panelists. We have here Jacob Atem. He was one of the lost boys of Sudan. And last year, actually, it's a pleasure having him here. Last year, he was actually at the UNESCO's International Literacy Day event in New York. He was the keynote speaker. In the blank chair, we have Mr. Steve McCrea. He is a ESOL teacher and charter school teacher down in South Florida. And he runs a nonprofit called BuildingInternationalBridges. And here we have the director of the Department of Anthropology at UF. Are you still professor?
2 weeks ago, I stepped down.
Okay, well, I apologize for that. Dr. Alan Burns, who works mainly in Central America and Mexico with the Mayan communities. From the School of Education, Dr. Maria Coaty, who's a Children Beyond Our Borders faculty advisor, and works mainly with ESOL and migrant education. And we have here Dr. Renata Serra from African Studies at UF. And she's also the faculty advisor for Recurso, another organization under the HIC umbrella. So who would like to present first? Professor Sarah?
Okay. Okay. Ladies first.
I like that.
I will try to keep the presentation short. I'm an economist by training, but I've been interested in development since my graduate years. And when you work in development, you really typically cross disciplinary boundaries. So just to say that, I really define myself more as a development economist. My main, the country I really work on is Mali in West Africa, which is a French-speaking country, but I've been also working in other parts of Africa and coordinating a project also involving other countries in the West African region. And I've been teaching at UF since 2005, courses related to African development, all different aspects. And so I sort of developed my interest in a lot of aspects, also not necessarily related to my research, while teaching these courses. And just to say that Center for African Studies and Center for Latin American Studies have established last year a Master in Development Practice, where my colleagues were heavily involved again in teaching courses at graduate level on development. So I come from this perspective and knowledge that I acquired through research in West Africa, through consulting in different parts of the world, and through teaching and interacting with my students. And I really would like to make a few points about the Millennium Development Goals. These are just the two that are mostly concerned with education. The first is, goal 2 is to achieve a universal primary education, and I put the target as well, because just to, we talk about MDGs, but sometimes we forget to really consider the different aspects. So the target 2A is to ensure, is it okay the sound? I tend not to speak to ensure that by 2015, children everywhere, boys and girls alike, will be able to complete a full course of primary schooling. So the emphasis is really on primary schooling, and I want to say something about this. And the goal 3 is to promote gender equality and empower women. And the target is eliminate gender disparity in primary and secondary education, preferably by 2005, and in all levels of education no later than 2015. 2015. So if you look at the development community, of course the development community itself is very diversified, involves government, NGOs, different foundations, private sectors, and so forth. But the focus has been very much on primary schooling and getting children into schools and into narrowing the gap between girls and boys. Okay? Here there is I'm going to use this interactive data mapping later on when we've got time, but the idea is that you can track progress with very simple indicators. And the indicators that are collected, and we can talk about data later on, because data sometimes are used to define concepts that actually are not easily definable with data, and we can talk about whether, for instance, the number of children attending the school, if it increases, it really marks progress. I mean, what are we after? Data that goes up and reach 100%, or what is behind this data? I just wanted to, I'm mainly an African specialist, so here you see a lot of African countries, but just to emphasize that the challenge for African countries are very different according to which country you pick up. And later on, I'd like also to emphasize that within each country, you have different challenges according to which region you pick up, or which ethnicity, and so forth. So here is just a very cursory look at it, and I'll stop with this slide. But the idea is that low primary enrollment is a problem in some countries, but not in others. Okay? So here you have the typically, conflict-ridden or previously conflict-ridden countries like Sierra Leone, Liberia, DRC, Haiti. Not many children out of school, and actually the percentage is very low. Other countries have made incredible inroads into raising the primary school enrollment. So Tanzania, but even Mali and Benin, which are countries I work with, they're very poor, but they increased the enrollment rates tremendously. But they face now other challenges. There are too many children in school for the resources that are available. The ratio pupil-teacher is very high. There's no textbook, no sufficient infrastructure, and so forth. So the quality of education is actually very low, or the ratio of completion is low. Or you have countries that have actually managed to get children into schooling, but the secondary enrollment is incredibly low and maybe presenting very large gender gaps. And these are really many countries that are in this. And then you take middle-income countries. A country like Brazil, the primary school enrollment is over 100%, which seems an absurdity, but means that more than people of the age group actually are enrolled in school. People that maybe are 12 are still in primary school and so forth. That's why you get this over 100% enrollment rates. But basically all children are in school, but at the same time you've got high regional disparities. You have in some countries like Brazil and South Africa, that some groups maybe they are small in terms of the number of populations, but they are marginalized and they don't have access to education or schooling like the majority of the population. So average statistics somehow hide these differences. So I'll leave you this because I'd like then to talk later on about intra-country variation. So the problem is not just a problem at the country level, but it's often a problem at the regional, ethnic, socioeconomic group. And so you have to look inside the average statistics. So I think this is good for now, for 5 minutes introduction, and hopefully we'll develop this later on.